Okay guys, this is going to be a video response to the Colonel, Richard Hunter. A lot of you already know who he is. Under the channel with the same name, Colonel Richard Hunter. Okay, well I just wanted to speak for a little bit to you guys about something that happened not long ago that most of you know about. But what most of you do not know about, because I never spoke about on here, was the fact that I had talked to FPS Russia's manager, Keith Ratliff, less than 48 hours before he was executed. I believe it to be less than 48 hours. I talked to him on a Tuesday evening, and he was executed, or he was killed execution style, I should say, on Thursday. So, basically, here was the deal. Keith Ratliff had a business venture that he was starting out, and he wanted me to be a part of this, which I'm now glad that I did not become a part of this, because it would not have benefited me the way that I thought that it was going to have benefited me. Basically, this was supposed to work that it's not going to do much for you up front, but in the long term, you're going to wind up coming much further ahead than you would have been. You're going to end up with more money, and you're just going to, this and that, other things are going to happen. And it just wouldn't have went the way that I thought it was going to. But let me tell you something, Keith Ratliff is a good salesman. I had spoke to him twice on the phone, and at least 2 times. It could have been 3. I can't say for sure. But the last time I spoke to him was on a Tuesday, and he told me that he would call me back Friday. Okay, now remember, I spoke to him on Tuesday, he was killed Thursday, shot in the head, and then that Friday he was supposed to call me. So he was always very punctual. At the times he had said he was going to call me before, he always called when he said he was going to. So Tuesday I talked to him, and he says, okay, we're talking about some stuff, and the phone call Friday was going to be pretty important. So he says, Friday, I'll call you for sure at this such and such time. He says, I'll be back. I'll be in my own office in Georgia, and this is where I'm going to call you from. So I say, okay. So I did not know that, I spoke to him Tuesday, and I did not know that less than 48 hours from that, he's now dead. So Friday, I'm calling his cell phone, and I don't know, I probably called it 5 times during the day. I'm like, dude, what's going on? You said you were going to call me. I don't understand this. This was going to be the most important talk we were going to have, business talk, and I can't, what's going on here? So I just pretty much left it at that, and come to find out later, he's dead. And I was like, wow, what? Wow. I couldn't believe it. So basically, this is what I want to get into. Sorry about the long, drawn-out beginning, guys, but I just wanted to set up some background for this. The Colonel Richard Hunter gave a theory, which all of us are allowed to do. You're free to do. A theory is a theory, okay? He gave a theory as to why he thought, or what he thought could have been a speculation as to why Keith Ratliff was murdered. Okay, let me start out by telling you guys that the first thing that happens when there's a murder, if there's no direct evidence right there out in the open, the person's not around, somebody didn't witness it and tell, all this stuff, if there is no direct evidence, there's no witnesses, you're going to start looking for motives. The 3 top motives go as this. Number 1 is love. I'm going to break these down for you in a minute too. Number 1 motive for murder is love. Number 2 motive for murder is money. The number 3 top motive for murder is revenge. And that can be tied in with the first 2. Let me try to get you, there's a lot to go over. Let me try to do this in the shortest time possible while giving you the broadest definitions that I can. Okay, love. The number 1 reason for murder that's looked at when there's a murder is love. Now, what does this mean? Okay, this could mean several different avenues, okay? Let's say you're married. You are cheating with someone on your wife, okay? Your wife finds out, your wife kills you. You're married. You're cheating with someone. That someone has a husband or a boyfriend. Her boyfriend or husband kills you. You're married. You're cheating. You're telling the person you're cheating with that you're going to leave your wife to be with her full time, but you really have no intentions of doing this. The jilted lover on the side, he gets mad, kills you. There's so many different avenues I could go down with this love thing, guys, but you get the idea, right? You get the idea on love. So many different avenues to go. You're married. Your wife's cheating with a man. She's telling the man she's going to leave you and be with the man. Whatever. She's just seeing a man on the side. This man gets angry because you're in the picture, kills you. See? So many different avenues I can go down with love. So that's the number one motive for murder, love. Number two is money. And who would gain from this money? Insurance policies, inheritance, your estate, everything you have to be left behind. Money, money, money. Business partners. Anything that can do with anybody that stands to make a substantial amount of money, you want to go down that avenue. That's where you want to start checking, okay, once you roll out the love situation. Number three is revenge. Revenge can tie in a lot with love and money. Could be you stole from me. Could be you owed me money from long ago and you never paid me. Also, revenge could be something as silly as you beat up a man in the bar and he kind of knows you from around town, or some of the people in the bar know who you are. The man that you got a little drunk and you beat up last month now comes and kills you somewhere in the street. That's revenge, okay? That's revenge that doesn't deal with love and money. Okay? But there's a lot of different things. There's so many avenues I could go down with revenge that I don't even want to start there. But I'm giving you guys broad strokes here. Broad paintbrush strokes to kind of open your minds and let you see kind of how this goes, what we're dealing with here. So Keith Ratliff is found murdered, shot in the back of the head, execution style. Several guns are around him. He was licensed to manufacture, to build firearms. Full auto. The guy was making suppressors out of mag lights that were some of the quietest suppressors I had ever seen. I mean, these mag light suppressors he was doing was just better than some things you could buy on the market. This guy could do everything with guns. Okay? Found murdered, execution style, back of the head. They didn't steal any of his stuff. Guns around, full autos around, wherever, in his office. He had them there. Nothing was stolen. So, in that way, I kind of think that there's a little bit that tells me that the people that did this knew what they were doing, because they didn't take the risk, okay? Dummies, dumb criminals would go into a situation like this, shoot the man, steal his items, and now out on the streets somewhere, you always have a connection that can lead back to you, okay? These people were smart enough to know not to get greedy and take what was there around him, because if they take what was around him, whether they sell it or have it with them and keep it and hide it, there is always now this connection. You understand where I'm coming from, people? There's always a connection if you take those firearms, always. Okay? It gets sold on the street, somebody gets busted, they say, hey, where'd you get this stuff from? That's all we want to know, we'll let you go. Pretty soon you got the cops banging on your door. Now you're connected to this item that was stolen from a murder scene. They left the items there. There was other things they could have done that some higher up people has done in the course of getting rid of people. First of all, let me tell you this. There's so much to go over here. Keith Ratliff was the backbone, the everything to FPS Russia. Just want to let you know that right up front. You may be a fan of FPS Russia. I am too. I'm subscribed. FPS Russia is a farm boy that grew up in Georgia. That's all he is. His dad lives in Georgia on a farm. He grew up on a farm. He was a gamer. Keith Ratliff somehow took notice of him, and Keith Ratliff was literally the backbone and and the main thing behind the scenes of what was FPS Russia. He was the one getting all the exotic weapons to him. He was the one with most of the ideas. Everything you could think of, Keith Ratliff was involved in. He got 50% of what FPS Russia made on the channel. Exactly half. And he was worth every penny of it, okay? You see now FPS Russia has pretty much flopped since Keith Ratliff's death. It's not that FPS Russia is at home grieving over Keith Ratliff, although I'm sure he did at the beginning. It is the fact that Keith Ratliff was as much a part of FPS Russia. It would be like saying FPS Russia was killed. Could Keith Ratliff take up the side of arranging and setting up all the videos and doing the show? It wouldn't work. It's the same if you reverse it, okay? FPS Russia has really had nothing since Keith Ratliff has been murdered, and I suspect that's the way it'll be. So as far as a motive that people were thinking of FPS Russia wanting Keith Ratliff dead and out of the picture, he would have been only hurting his own cause. He would only have been hurting his own cause, because I'll tell you right now, as of the money aspect, that FPS Russia has taken a huge hit already, okay, because he may have done a little video or two, but you can definitely tell that there's something missing, that there's something not there. And Keith Ratliff was involved in everything that went down with these videos, from the weapons, the setup, everything you could think of. So the FPS Russia show without Keith Ratliff is not the same FPS Russia show, and never will be, okay? So it would have stood FPS Russia no real benefit to have Keith Ratliff out of the picture if he were going to then get 100% of his money from the channel, of their money from the channel, okay? Because if the channel falls off like it has, I'm not saying that FPS Russia is going to go away. I'm sure he'll still do videos and this and that and the other thing, and maybe a new manager will pick him up and start doing some things. But the FPS Russia as of now is not and will not be what it ever was before. So FPS Russia would have actually been hurting his money to have Keith Ratliff out of the way. And if there was written contracts, the written contracts would have basically stated that if anything happened to Keith Ratliff, that now his wife would get half of the channel's money. So we don't know. There was a female involved. Love, right? This is what Richard Hunter, kind of the road he went down. Her name is Paintball Kitty. Not long after Keith Ratliff's death, this Paintball Kitty is just in the business. I'm not for sure what her role is. She tried to step up and do some manager duties after Keith Ratliff died, and I don't think she'll work out. After Keith Ratliff's death, the ATF decided that they was going to raid FPS Russia's home and his father's home. Now you find this very common, because you want to do next of kin when you raid someone's home, because the most common thing for someone to do is to take things and hide them at their parents, or to stash them, so to speak, at their parents, so that they're not in their own house. And the ATF is hip to this, okay? The ATF's reasoning was that they, because of the explosions in the FPS Russia videos, they wanted to check out and see what kind of explosives he had. Now we all know, and the ATF knows, that it was tannerite and it was legal explosives. But it gave them a reason, as often can be done, very simply. It gave them a reason to get in FPS Russia's door, and it worked, okay? When the ATF went into FPS Russia's home, Paintball Kitty was there while FPS Russia was out of town. Looks like a little bit of a love situation, if you ask me, right? I mean, if it was a male manager, do you think the male would have been staying at FPS Russia's home with his guns and his different things while he's not there? I don't think so. So there was what Colonel Richard Hunter was bringing up as far as a love motive. Could Paintball Kitty have had something to do with it? Was Keith Ratliff involved with Paintball Kitty in a love thing, as well as FPS Russia? Who knows? I'm going to give you my theory here in a minute. Okay. Let me backtrack here and tell you this. What a true pro does, I kind of wondered if I should go down this road and talk about this on camera, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and talk about this on camera, because this isn't something that you can't see or hear on the internet anyway. But let me just put it to you this way. It has been done before in governments to murder someone. If you want someone gone and you want the murder to not be fully investigated to the fullest extent that it can, what happens is you set up a suicide, basically. You set up a scene where someone's dead and it looks like they killed themselves. Here's the reason why. It doesn't matter if the man had a huge family, great job, everything was going well in his life. He just spoke with his mother and father that day, said, "My life is great, I'm planning a vacation this summer." If you can make it look like that a man committed suicide, it makes enough of a question there to where instead of having this full-on onslaught, full-force investigation for a murder, this now will soon turn into a case where pretty soon where they'll write it off as a suicide, or it can be written off as a suicide. It always throws that question there. Even if people say, "I know him, I know he never would have killed himself," there's still that question there that can never be answered, and that question would be, did he really kill himself? It gives an out for a murder, okay? Instead of saying this is a full-fledged murder, we know somebody came in and killed this man, we're going to go on a full onslaught of investigations. Now what happens is it's set up to look like that the man committed suicide. And while they still can investigate this at first and go down every avenue and still investigate motives, money, love, revenge, there's still, even if it's a right-handed man and the gun's in his left hand, doesn't matter. Anytime it looks like a suicide, it leaves this door open, okay? It leaves this door open that says that, we don't have to put all of our efforts into this. We're going to follow a few leads, but we're going to count this one off as a suicide. Okay. Hope you guys understand where I'm going with that. But he was definitely shot execution style, okay? Firearms around him, no attempt that it could be seen that any firearm was grabbed or anything happened. So, could be that he knew the person, could be the person snuck up on him, could be whatever. Now, if you want a theory from me, now, before I tell you this theory, I need to tell you this is all straight up 100% fairy tale speculation. What I'm about to speak to you has no basis in this case whatsoever. It's not something that I know of that's being looked at. And as far as you're concerned in your mind, what I'm telling you is a fairy tale. There, got that out of the way. H14 ain't looking to get sued, okay? So here's my fairy tale, my speculation, okay? My assumptions, my what could have been. Now, Keith Ratliff, like I said, had a license to manufacture guns. He could manufacture full autos. He had several full auto things. He was manufacturing silencers, the whole 9 yards. Now, my speculation would be, if I was to guess, that he had some dealings with some shady characters that both you and I and nobody on YouTube knows, okay, with the manufacture of firearms. Basically saying that he was dealing with some underhanded people that were looking into getting firearms, full auto firearms, silencers, and wanted no trace of these weapons, and wanted these weapons for whatever activity they were going to do that was not legal. And in getting himself in with these people, he stood to make a lot of money on the side. But at the same time, being in with these people also caused him a risk to his life. Okay? My theory is that something happened. There was some reason. Some of these underhanded people that he had been dealing with in firearms and making good money from it, something happened and they said, "We need him out of the way. We need him out of here. Take him out." It was somebody. I wouldn't call this guy a professional that did the hit on him. And I'm not going to go into reasons why. But I would not call this guy a full-out professional. But I would call him good for street. for a guy on the street that's with an organization or with a gang or an affiliation that's going to kill somebody, I would say good. The guy left no evidence. He didn't get stupid and steal stuff that could connect him back to the murder at any time. He basically went in, clean, was gone, and that was it. To this day, there's no trace of the man, no hard evidence to the man that killed him. Still not a true professional, though. Could this be what have happened? Dealings on the side. Full auto arms, different firearms things, suppressors, silencers, dealing with shady characters, making big money. And as always does with things that are illegal or things that are not on the up and up, it can come back and bite you. It could be a reason, who knows what reason, there could be a reason why you're no longer needed, or there's a need to get you out of the picture, or you got paid money for things and you didn't follow through yet with your end of the bargain, or you borrowed money from these same people, these underhanded, shady people that are dealing with big bundles of cash and dealing in all kinds of illicit drugs and different things. And you borrow money from these people, and let me tell you, even though they may be dealing with duffel bags full of money, they want their money back to the penny. So could that have been why Keith Ratliff was starting new business ventures and trying to get people on board to make this new money? Don't know. Could it have been last-ditch efforts to try to get that extra money to do what he needed to do? We may never know. What I gave you was speculation. It's pure fantasy. Take it for what you want. Take it for what it's worth. Until next time, guys, be safe. Watch your back. This is H4T, and I am out.